Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. It's nice to see people from all across the world. I'm also excited to see people from Nigeria, which is my home country. Yes, thank you for the opportunity, Asan and TIFE. I'm also most commend TIFE Digital Institute for the work they're doing in growing knowledge. Yes, as I'm going to be speaking, sharing with you, my dear brothers and sisters, today. I'm going to be speaking about customer experience as a key enabler or driver for growth and profitability. So here's what we're going to be talking about. I have a few slides to kind of guide the conversation. Try and make it as interactive and possible as possible, so it's not going to be slide driven. I'm just going to introduce myself again. We'll talk through what our understanding, share our understanding of what customer experience is, why customer experience is important, why it matters. Um, Speak to the fact that customer experience are growth and profitability enablers. Ways you can measure customer experience. We then segue into how we can improve customer experience. Also speaking briefly about emerging trends in customer experience. I'll share with you some success stories, and then we go into Q&A. Hopefully we'll take that time to address some of your concerns, questions, suggestions, and feedback, and we close with what we call takeaways and call it a day. Um, this is a webinar, so it's not the intention. We can talk about customer experience uh, all day long, all week long, and all month. But hopefully, at the end of this session, we be able to um, all agree that customer experience is a key driver for growth and business profitability. So I'm going to start off by quickly reintroducing myself. I think Hassan has done a great job of providing you my bio data, but just to kind of give you a sense of my life or who I am right now. And this is my picture, even though you see me on the screen. Again, he talked about my professional background. I did spend quite some time at MTN Nigeria. MTN, as you are not sure everyone knows, but if I look at the markets you operate in, MTN is in some of those markets, and MTN is the largest telecom operator in Africa. So I did spend over 12 years at MTN as head of customer experience. Thereafter, I moved over to Toronto, Canada, and if you look at on the left there, I owned a business, a coffee store in Toronto, in a city called Oakville in Canada. I'll tell you a little story about this coffee store and how I leverage customer experience to grow this business. I don't own that business. I've sold the business right now, but clearly it's a great story of how customer experience, focusing on the customer, can actually drive your experience. By the way, these ladies that you see on that picture are my customers. They come to this store, coffee shop, 3 times a week. They are retired women. They just come there to meet, meet and greet each other, hang out. So I just wanted to kind of provide a background in case you're wondering what are these ladies doing there. So, and that's me as the what you call a barista, chief barista. Thereafter, I went back into corporate world again. Thomson Reuters is a content technology company, probably head of Reuters news agency. So yes, Thomson Reuters owns Reuters, but they do more than news. So it's a global company with over 25,000 employees. So I did work there for until recently, and I decided to go into consulting. So right now I'm consulting for some telecommunication business. I'm also providing some advisory services to a government satellite company. So that's pretty much who I am. Hopefully you get to know me better. And let's move on. So I dare ask, if anyone wants to try, what do we really mean by customer experience? So if you guys don't mind, could you quickly, somebody wants to quickly put on the chat, you know, like I said, I'll try to make this as interactive as possible, considering the fact that it's a webinar. The intention is not to teach you, the intention is for us to share knowledge. So if anybody wants to try and take a stab and type out there your understanding of customer experience. Does somebody want to, could we spend like 30 seconds to do that? Let me see if I can share the chat. Somebody want to try? What do you understand by customer experience? Is anybody typing? Yeah, I'll probably look at my timer. Yes, fantastic. Meeting and exceeding customer expectation. Great job. Thank you, Lukman. I appreciate that. That's important. Yes. Any more? Any more input? All right. Okay. Lukman is absolutely right. You meet and exceed customer expectations. Fantastic. Okay, so let's let's try. There's so many definitions of what customer experience is, but there's one that I really like, and I got this one from IBM, and I decided, oh, let me see if there's any more. Maybe I missed out. Oh, yes. Yes, sorry. Customer experience all the way teaching you how could you handle the futures. Okay, sorry. This is a satisfaction derived from service offered. Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. So let me go and share with you the definition that I really like. But there are so many definitions. But according to IBM, it says it's a holistic account of customers' perception that result from all their interactions with a business or a brand. We interact with businesses, we interact with different brands. I mean, like I give you the experience of my coffee shop. We have people who come there to buy coffee in so many ways. And there's so many things that are involved in when they come to that coffee shop. There's the first of all, they are aware that they want to know that, look, I want coffee. I have a need, which is my coffee. I want coffee, but where can I get coffee? They decide and find my coffee shop. And when they find the coffee shop, they come into the coffee shop. There's a lineup, right? And when there's a line, they want to order. And when they order, they pay, and they expect to be given the coffee that they've ordered. And they either decide to take the coffee in the store or to go away. So that's basically the experience. So that whole experience, that whole interaction is what is called customer. They probably want to use the bathroom as well, the toilet. So what happens when they use the toilet? So every interaction that they have with that coffee shop is called customer experience. So I don't know if you agree with me, but that I found that this definition really instructive. So that's why I decided to go by it. So like I said, it's not just, sometimes people confuse customer experience with customer service. Customer service is not just, customer experience is not just customer service. It's about the design of the product. It's about sales. It's about marketing. It's about all other functions. Because sometimes people, when you talk about customer experience, they say it's customer service department. But look at the coffee shop example that I gave you. It's about the making of the coffee. It's about payment. It's about, the bathroom. It's about, the entire experience, the ambience of the environment. So sorry, I have to use the coffee shop because I thought it might be relatable. So I can see that quite a number of you are from banking and finance sector industry. So when you talk about customer experience, it's about when the customer walks into a branch. If, for example, they have to walk into the branch, for example, do they have to line up? Do they have to stay on? Are they greeted when they get in? Do they have to wait for a long time? How is the service? Do they have to deposit money? What's the experience? if they have to withdraw money, if they have questions, or they do have some inquiry they want to make. So that is not necessarily the job of one person. It's not just the customer service department. If you take the bank, for example, the teller is not just, it's just not the only person responsible for the experience of the customer. So it's everybody that is involved, in customer experience. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of provide a context. So when you, as a customer who wants to buy a coffee, and I honestly like to use this coffee as a use case. First of all, I want to buy coffee. Okay, what is that journey when I want to buy a coffee? So the first thing is I have a need. When I have a need for coffee, or or finance or banking, there's a need. When you have that need, what do? You find out where I want coffee, I want to do business, I want to do some banking. Where and who can I get this service from? So they call it research. The customer researches. So stay with me here. This is the customer journey, which is basically describe, according to McKinsey, it's just that is a description of your end-to-end experience. Then you select. And when you decided, okay, I've researched the bank, I've researched the coffee shop, I now have selected the one I want to go to. And when you go and select, you purchase, right? You go in and purchase. Either you purchase in store or virtually online or by the app, But stay with me here. So this entire process is what they call buying experience. So this entire process where you had a need, you have researched, you have selected, and you purchase. So this is the entire, they call it the buy stage, the buying stage of, stay with me here, with a buying stage of a coffee or buying stage of whatever service, be it insurance, be it finance. That's the buying stage. Now, after I have finished purchasing, what happens next? I receive, right? I get the service that I ordered for, whether it's banking, whether it's insurance, whether it's coffee, you receive the service that you ordered. And after receiving, you start using. Either you use your banking services, you either drink your coffee. If you go to a restaurant, you start eating. So that's what's called use. Now, after you finish using, or in some cases maintain, there are some services that you keep maintaining, where you, maybe your phone service, for example, maybe it's your banking service, you maintain your account, you maintain your phone provider or cable provider. Thereafter, if the service is good or experience is good, you recommend to your friends, you rate them, people contact you for some survey feedback, you rate, or if your friend and family ask you, I want to open an account, which bank would you recommend, or which insurance company would you recommend? That's that last stage. So if you look at that second side, from when you have received the service to when you recommend, it's called the ownership stage. That's when you own the service. That is yours now. So you have two main stages: you're buying and the ownership. And so this is what I refer to as the customer journey with us. And it applies in every area, whatever industry you are in, this applies. So this is applicable. So I just thought it would be interesting to kind of walk you through the customer's journey with us. And having said that, let's also look at today's world, the world that we live in. We got to be cognizant of the world that we live in. And if we look at the life we live in today, we're faced with so many realities. We have to, and we either buy online or we buy by calling the call center. We have to deal with the call center. We have to go to the store. Sometimes we have the option of using the internet, or we can use our mobile, we can use social media or emails. So these are varying, what I call, channels by which customers can engage with us. But that's the reality we live today. Now, I walked you through this what I call the customer journey. I thought it would be important to kind of talk about how customers relate with us, how they interact with our brands. So take anything, any brand that uh did you lose me? I hope.
No, no, doc. No, no. I can
Okay.
listen to you. Everything's fine.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure. Yes. So let's take whatever industry that we belong to, whether it's insurance, whether it's banking, whether it's coffee business, coffee store like I used, whether it's telecom, you customers interact with us in so many ways, through so many channels. So I thought it would be important to share with you some of the ways or which they interact with us. So some of them, first of all, remember that stage I talked about, the research. They want to, I have a need. I have a need for banking service. I have a need for coffee. I want to research. So how do they get to know about us? What channels do they use? They call it, what channels do they get to know about us? That stage is called awareness stage. And talking about awareness, there's so many channels and media which customers can be aware of us. So radio, word of mouth, mailing and all sorts. So that's called awareness stage. So it's important that, so the customers interaction through these channels, to be aware of our brand, is called an experience. So focus. So when we talk about customer experience, it's not just about calling call center or customer service. So as either a professional, just but know that the awareness stage is very important. So you got to also focus on the awareness channels when working or managing your customers. Then the next stage, once the customer is aware, has done the research, then remember they also want to consider your brand and say, okay, I want to know, especially these days, I want to know which one. There are so many people who sell coffee. There are so many banks. I want to be able to consider which one will meet my needs. They call it consideration stage. Thereafter, once I have all the information that I need, I now want to make a purchase. That stage is called the purchase stage. And the channels by which you can purchase these days, you can purchase either in person or online, either through the app. And remember, you can do banking through online, you can do banking in person, you can do banking through your app, you can do insurance as well. So thereafter, remember what I talked about purchase and buying. After you bought the service, you now want to maintain. How do you maintain this things that you bought? It's called service. And some of service, you can get service these days either through the call center or through email or through app or through social media. So that's what you call, these are ways that customers interact with us. So my intention here is basically to share with us how customers interact, the channels by which they interact with us, just to give you a sense of what customer experience is all about. So remember, I said it's not about customer service. It's not about the call center. You can see the entire customer journey that customers interact with us in through so many channels, either in our buying or ownership. So even when they stay with us, our customers are retained. We want to be able to find out. We want to offer them incentives. We want to be able to run service. That's also an important stage in the customer journey. And even when we want them to tell family and friends about us, so it's that's also a way that customers interact with us. So I wanted to just kind of set that tone. Thereafter, now when I also thought I should share something about customer needs, and I think was it Lukman? Let me go back to who gave that suggestion about meeting customers' needs. Yes, it was Lukman. Yes, I do remember. Thank you, Lukman. Now, if you look at let me just quickly, if you give me a moment, quickly highlight this area. If you look at what I'm sharing, this research was done by PwC, and what it did was basically to ask customers what they value most about their experience. Customers' needs are pretty simple. A boss of mine called this, a former boss of mine used to call this brilliant basics. Customer needs are simple. They're not complex. So when they did the study, they found that customers are just looking for friendly service. Customers are just looking for convenience. They're just looking for knowledgeable service. So they're looking for easy way to pay or easy way to do things. I mean, those are some other things. If you look at it, some other things are important, like charity is important, fun is important, atmosphere is important, but customers are just looking for simplicity. So in providing services to our customers, let's just make it easy for them to do business with us. Let's just provide friendly service, a smile. I told you about, let me just quickly give you an example of what happened in that coffee store that I owned. When I bought a coffee store, I noticed that there was only one means of payment, and there was always a line. And customers, and I was wondering why there was this lineup. And I found out that it was just because customers had to pay with one POS. By the time I just automated the POS system, the line reduced. Average time, waiting time from 3 to 5 minutes reduced. I'm talking about the payment experience, reduced to under 1 minute. People did not have to wait in line for so long. So just simplifying the experience made it easier. And I dare say that business, hopefully, maybe I should keep it, tell you, talk about the growth later. That business did experience yet year-on-year growth. So having said that, so customers' needs are pretty simple. They are not complex. Just meet and exceed them, to Lukman's point. So why is customer experience important? As we had, I mean, customer experience important because when the experience is good, when you just provide the basics, like I said, those brilliant basics, why would you want to leave your provider? Why would people stop coming to my coffee store? Why would people stop going to a bank if the experience is simple? They have friendly service. They have knowledgeable staff. Their needs are met. I'm probably exceeded, if I may borrow Lukman's words. They just stay. They don't leave. They don't churn. They also spend more, and they tell their friends. More importantly, they tell their friends and family. And what happens when you tell your friends and family? The business grows because you have more customers, because they've shared with their friends and family. So that's why customer experience is important. And these days, remember, you're not the only business. You're not the only bank. You're not the only insurance company. I wasn't the only coffee shop in the neighborhood. I had competition. As a matter of fact, I was competing with Starbucks, which we all acknowledge as a global brand. But my coffee store was still profitable. So I knew I couldn't compete with Starbucks. It's a big name. I couldn't compete with them. They have all the muscles, the financial muscle backing them. But one of the ways that I competed with them was on experience, making my coffee shop the coffee shop of choice, where those ladies that I showed you at the beginning could always come to every 3 times a week. I even had customers that come 5 days a week. So that's basically helps you to differentiate when you have competition. So having said all this, there's no doubt. I don't need to share with you to reiterate it, but it's very clear that when your experience is good, customers' experience generates return. According to McKinsey, 3 times the returns. This was a study done by McKinsey, significant returns, and this was based on the research on global companies, and they realized that they did return significant. They did generate significant returns for their shareholders. Companies are focused on customer experience. As I've given those examples with the coffee shop, positive experience has impact on loyalty. Those customers come 3 times a week. They're loyal. And when they come, they buy coffee, they spend. And they tell their friends. Remember that picture I showed you at the beginning? I don't know if some people may have joined late, but hey, hopefully by the time I share this, hopefully this slide later on, after this webinar, you might be able to see the picture of these customers who used to come to that coffee store 3 times a week. And of course, as I gave you, it's a differentiator. I was able to differentiate myself, compete against Starbucks on experience. I couldn't compete with them with financial muscle. I couldn't compete with them in terms of their image, you know. Um, I thought to also share this interesting slide. And let me see if I can use my pointer here to see when customers are loyal, they spend more. In that coffee shop, we found out that those customers who are loyal, they spend more time, they buy more coffee, they spend so much money. And research has shown that. So you even have customers. So when customers, if you and what leads to loyalty is the experience. The experience is good. They stay loyal, and if they are loyal, they spend more. So it's a no-brainer. So real quick, I will take a break, take a breather, and quickly, based on what we have discussed, quickly, if you could spend the next 30 seconds to share with me, share with on the chat, uh, uh, a great experience really that you have uh, you've had with a brand, either a bank or a store, a coffee shop, a telecom provider. If you could just quickly type it out there on the chat, be great to see. Real quick, please, we could just share some experiences. I may not be able to read out all, but I would see if I can read out some, a few, one or two, so that we can proceed. But please share with me, share with the house, really, a great customer experience that you received with a brand recently or in the past. Let's see. Let me see. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Uh, all right. Hmm. All right. Hassan says there are banks where there's a guy who opened the door for you. That is awesome. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see. Do we have any more examples before? Let's see. Um, let's see. Okay. Okay. Let's see if I can get more examples. Great experience. Surely we must have had. Yes. Yes. Lookman again. Thank you. One of my greatest experience was the health sector. Everything was digitized without taking files. Oh my God. That was in Mieti Hospital in Gombe. Oh, yeah, I do remember Gombe. I used to go on holidays to Gombe many years ago. I have more, uh, um, yeah, somebody talked about, I think it's Shaka that talked about customer experience of more the camera issue. There was a camera issue. I'm not sure what it is, but it's been resolved. Um, okay, fantastic. All right, that's great. So I will quickly go back to our conversation. But please go ahead, keep sharing those experiences. All right, having said that, let's go back. And um, there's this research by PwC as well, which kind of spoke to quite a number of customers across industry to see if cost what price premium they will pay if the experience is good. Believe it or not, coffee, my favorite subject, which is coffee, customers say they will pay 16% premium. Unbelievable. They will pay more if the experience is good. I mean, so dinner, people will pay 12% more of the experience. How much would you pay for the following if the company provide? How much more would you pay? How much more would you pay? So generally, the study shows that up to 16% price premium are paid. And remember, there is also plus increased loyalty. So people are going to pay 16% more if the experience is great. So maybe on the I know we've been talking about great and good and great experiences. Perhaps it would be good to just quickly spend a moment using our chat box to kind of share any bad experience. You don't necessarily need to mention the name of the brand. Uh, my intention is not to name and shame anybody here, but hopefully we can just share the experience. Say, oh, just like Hassan said, look, a bank where the guy opens the door, at least we don't know the name of the bank, but that was good to know. And that was great experience. So if you could share with me example of a bad experience, customer experience that you've had, real quick, be helpful. So let's see that. Could we see? Spend the next 30 seconds. Okay, let's see. Is anybody willing to share bad experience? Okay, all right. I take it that the experience has been good. So, but feel free to share um, a bad experience that you've uh, you've had um, with a brand. Okay, let's proceed. I thought also to share with you this important research that was done by PwC, and you know the research focus asked the customers when they will stop interacting with a brand they love. What would it take for them to stop doing business with a brand? Remember, we should not take our customers for granted. Customers actually say they will leave a brand they love after getting bad experience. So, and when the study was done, after one bad experience, 60% said, look, in 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 LATAM, for example, which is Latin America, says 60% said after one bad experience, they will leave the brand. And all countries of the world that the study was done, it says it will take them 40%, about 30% said they will only leave after one bad experience. But guess what will happen after more than one experience? After several bad experiences, 50% said they will leave. So be careful in your business. You could lose your customers when the experience is bad. So let's be mindful of that. But having said that, I thought to share this study that was done by Bain and Company. It talks about virtuous and vicious cycles. It's basically showing that when customers have great experience, here when they have great experience, it increases loyalty. It's more money for more money for the business, more money to invest in customers, and they call it profitable, sustainable organic growth. So great experience. But if you don't provide good experience, you can't invest more in customer experience, and then customers churn. So be careful. So it was just a Bain, and this is also a research that was done by Bain. It says, um, you know, it's just showing that there's growth. Um, um, Companies that have great, what they call loyalty leaders, they are 2 times more likely to grow compared to companies that just provide basic or average customer experience, sorry. All right, ways that you can measure customer experience. I'm mindful of time, very respectful of your time. How do you measure this thing called customer experience? There's so many ways you can measure it. And I remember I said we can talk about customer experience all day. I love to call it voice of the customer, because who measures the experience? Is it you or the customer? So you are providing the experience or the service to the customer. It is the customer that will measure that can tell you how they are the ones that rate their experience with you. So I call it voice of the customer. They are the ones that say they're happy. They were the ones that say they need help. They are the ones that say your internet is slow. So that's why I call it voice of the customer. Thereafter, so I thought these are some of the ways that you can measure experience. There are direct ways you can measure experience, either through surveys, or you can make phone calls to them, or you can do market research. That's a direct way. There's also what we call an indirect way of measuring the experience. Especially, this is quite popular these days. People want to buy something, they want to check the rating, website reviews, say, oh, this I want to travel, this particular hotel, which one has 4-star, 5-star, 4 point, or I see that a lot. My wife, for example, tells me, oh, you should go for this because the rating is 4.3 compared to the other one, which was 4.2. So that's an indirect way. Then there's also inferred. Inferred is those are things you measure internally using your systems, channels that your customers interact with you. For example, you want to measure transactional data. Let me give you an example. You want to measure the time that customers spend on the line when they call your call contact center, your call center. You want to measure the time that they use your app or the time that they use your service. So that's what's called inferred way of measuring customer experience. There are some metrics out there that you can also use to measure the experience. One is Net Promoter Score, which is my favorite. Basically measuring those that promote those that scores 9 to 10 versus those that score 0 to 6. But that's a separate subject entirely. So, but Net Promoter Score is one metric that is very popular. Another one is customer satisfaction. That's another metric that is quite popular. It's just basically measuring the experience of the customer along those journey that I had shared with you earlier on. There's also customer effort score. Effort score is the effort. What does it take your customer to deal with you? The higher the effort score, the poorer the experiences. It's good to have less effort score. You know, when the effort score is low, it means that it takes customers less effort to deal with you, which is good. So what do you do with this data? You listen to your customer, you analyze the data, then you do something about it. So how do you improve experience based on all the data? Remember, we spoke about the metrics and data that we got. One of the ways is to look. Remember, I had said at the beginning that customer experience involves everybody in the business, not just customer service. So it's good to work cross-functionally. Everyone in your business needs to work around customer. Then you also need to map the journey. Remember the customer journey? Look at map it and identify pain points and opportunities along the journey that I shared with you earlier. Then another way of improving is delivery technology. So real quick, I'm not going to bore you with this slide, but all I'm trying to say that customer experience has to be a strategic priority. As a business, you have to say, look, we want to focus on the experience. It's not just one department. It's everyone in the business that's involved in customer experience. So it has to be a strategic priority as a business for your business, either your bank or your insurance company, or whatever business or line of business that you're into. I'll just give you a quick, this is at MTN, this was a telco example. We decided that we want to focus on the experience of the customer. We had to work on 4 main areas: the network, we had to work on the stores, we had to digitize our support channels, and we also wanted to offer loyalty incentives to our customers. So 4 main areas. But we also knew that there were other enablers. There were things that needed to work. We needed to work on our people, everybody in the business. We needed to work on our customer. We needed to even work on technology, on tools and systems that we had in place. I'm not going to bore you with all this, but just to give you an idea of how we came together, MTN to focus on the experience. And I'm sure those of you in Nigeria know that MTN is the #1 operator, has a greater market share, very successful telecom company in Nigeria and rest of Africa. Now, I talked about customer journey mapping. What is it? Customer journey mapping is basically a visual representation of the experience that a customer has with our brand. You know, remember the thing I said when we define customer experience, but what is the map itself, journey mapping? You know, those stages that I shared with you earlier on, is basically a visual representation. So it does illustrate the experience for the customer's point of view, not from your own point of view, not your business point of view. And but when you want to do journey mapping, you got to define the persona. Who is involved? Is it in the coffee store, for example? Is it a woman? Is it a young person? Is it businessman? So for your business, for example, your bank, who is the persona the experience that you want to work on? Is it a small business? Is it a consumer business? Is it a large business or a corporate? So that's what you call persona. Then you look at the channels by which you deal you serve them across the journey that I shared with you earlier on. Then of course you design based on when you look at the channels, you identify pain points, then you create a journey for them. And of course, when you've designed the journey, you now say, okay, what are the things that you need to do? Then of course you implement that. And yeah, but I'll just quickly show this. This is one of the best customer journey map that I really want to share with you. It looks at all the stages. It looks at the persona. Then what are the customers doing? Then it looks at the channels. What are the channels that the customers are using to do this transaction? Then what are the KPIs, those metrics? And what's the experience? Are they happy? Based on the surveys. And of course, what's your business goal? You want to be able to increase awareness. You want to be able to increase website visitors. You want to be able to convert more. You want to be able to provide good service, and you want to be able to generate positive reviews. So I really like this. Again, this slide, I'm not going to waste time, but basically to share with us that everybody in the business is involved in across this journey. Different, it's not just one department. You can see, for example, if you look at sign up page, you have marketing, you have design, you have engineering, you have user design, user experience. So many people get involved when you want to design the experience of the customer. Here, this is another example. This is a real life example that I worked on. It basically had to look at the customer service journey and got feedback. The pain points were identified. So I'm just going to quickly focus on one. It says self-support. I'm not sure what happened to my. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Let me go back to my pointer. Lisa, forgive me. Yes, it says self-help does not resolve my issue. When customers try to serve themselves, it doesn't resolve their issue. So that's a pain point. So we had to fix it. So those are ways that you can. Another example, it says long wait times in terms of when they want to access customer service. So these are pain points that you identify. And what do you do? Once you understand the pain point, you work internally to fix the problem. Then I'm just going to quickly jump into technology as an enabler. You can't talk about customer experience without talking about technology. The systems that you use to support customers. These days, artificial intelligence is coming to play. Data and analytics to be able to help you to identify trends and those pain points. Then even social media as a listening tool, because these days customers don't even tell you directly about how you've of a bad experience. They usually go to social media to do that. So that technology is an important enabler for customer experience. Quickly, I'll go to share some success stories. I've shared with you. I'll quickly start with my coffee store. Just by focusing on that pain point, which is the lineup, I was able to grow and a few other things around the customer journey in the store. Year on year, I did experience 20% year-on-year growth from when I bought that coffee store just by focusing on experience. I didn't do anything, just experience on the customer. Another great experience that I would like to share was MTN. There are so many experiences, so many examples here, but in the interest of time, I can't go through them. But you can research them and may hopefully learn from them. But I'll take MTN. MTN has what they call a chatbot called Ziggy. Just basically an AI tool. They knew they had a problem. They couldn't attend to all the customer complaints with all the reps. They just deployed this AI tool, and guess what? In 2023, this Ziggy did handle 34 million customer interactions. It did reduce the number of. They didn't even need much people to deal with customers. As you know, MTN is a market leader already. MTN has the best net promoter score in the market in Nigeria. So, but there are so many other examples. Like I said, interest of time, I will quickly go into Q&A. So, my dear brothers and sisters, let's go to Q&A. Let me see. I see comments already. Okay, fake signature. That's bad experience, bad behavior. I'm with the 60% people. Yep. All right. Having said that, let's go to Q&A. Hassan, how does the Q&A work? Do we have questions already? that you'd like me to address?
Right.
Yes. Okay. Shaka says, uh, hi, Andrew. Thanks for such a nice presentation. How could non-Muslims be encouraged to have Islamic products and services, please? Well, for me, like I said, if you recall that, let me go back to that slide that talked about brilliant basics. That was the way I'll answer it. This is the way I will answer it. Hopefully, I can share this with you again. Customer needs are pretty simple. This, Chaka, simple, brilliant basics. Just give them basic, what they want, efficiency, convenience, knowledgeable service. I don't care whether the service is Muslim, Islamic or not. I just want basic things. So hopefully that answers. I don't know if that would help, but that's the way I would answer that question that you've asked. Friendly service. So financial product. If for example, I know that your service is convenient, your service is easy for me to pay. I don't really care too much about whether it's Islamic product. Just make it simple. So that would be my answer. But remember the journey, remember that thing about journey. So let me go back to the journey itself. You customers got to be aware about the so if you look at it, when people need they need financial product, let them know. Perhaps go, let me see, perhaps go for this. They need to be aware. Just give me one moment. Uh, sorry, I wanted to share with you the journey, customer journey. Yes, they need to be aware of your product. Yeah. So they need to be aware. Are they aware that you offer products that they need? So that's what I would, the way I would respond to that. Let me see. Any more Q&A questions?
Andrew, I have a question
Yes.
that is asking. Mm, okay, the question: how do you measure customer experience? Like there are standards, but means how do you suggest any other thing going beyond those standards to measure customer experience?
How do you measure customer experience? Like I said, there are so many ways to measure experience. There are different metrics. Let me just I talked about net promoter score, and I think I saw something from Hajara. Um, there are different metrics, which is this one. It, there's net promoter score, which I shared. Net promoter score, maybe to kind of address Ajara's point. Net promoter score basically is the reason I like net promoter score is because it's actionable. You're asking the customer a simple question. On a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate our service? And you ask the customer says 9. You ask why. The customer says 0. You ask the reason. Then the customer types the reason. That's why I like net promoter score. But it doesn't necessarily mean you don't have to use that alone. You can use customer satisfaction. And I think Ajara asked a question. Let me see again. She said, does it really measure customer satisfaction? Well, it measures the experience. If you want to measure satisfaction, you can also use what they call customer satisfaction, CSAT. But the thing about CSAT is that you have to measure based on every stage of the journey, the billing experience. How was the experience with billing? How was so my recommendation, again, then there's this other one called customer effort score. If it's possible, is to use all of them. In Thomson Reuters, what we did, we used net promoter score. We used net customer satisfaction. Then we use the effort score. So we use the combination because it helps to validate some of the data that you get. And more importantly, if you don't mind, I like this one. Inferred. There are times you don't even necessarily need to ask the customer. Internally, you can see the data the experience of the customer. Let me give you an example. Like I give you the coffee storage example. It was obvious for me. I saw that sales were slow. I knew that people were wasting time, staying a long time on the line. That's unfair. I see it. Customers didn't need to tell me, and I'm sure that we have systems internally that can show us the experience that the customer experience, the experience that our customers are having with us. Yes. So I don't know if that answers the question. Ajara, does that help? Asan, does that help?
Yes,
Uh,
yes, exactly. Basically, Hajra is also asking, is there any database online where she can get the NPS of various companies?
yes, yes. You can find for previous years, but a good source will be Forrester. Forrester does do quite a bit of study on NPS. So they do, so you can access it. I think it's available for purchase. You can buy for current one, but you can see the one for previous years. So Forrester, I can type the name of I can put that on the chat. Let me see. It's called Forrester. See, let me just put the name Forrester. So if you go to Forrester, yep, you can, yes.
All right. One more question here is says that, mm, okay, uh, saying the exact, how do you measure the ROI on customer experience investment? Let's say if a company have invested on putting a mechanism of customer experience, changing the culture of the company, I guess. So, how to measure the ROI of that?
Well, let me give you this experience, this slide that is on screen now. This is the MTN example. How do you measure the ROI? You, excuse me, you take the investment that you look at the investment that you look at the number of customers that you generate, the number of customers that you retain. There's a formula to it, but I don't want to go into that. But I'm just using this anecdotal method to share with you. When we knew that if we improve the network, we knew that customers would be able to make more calls. We knew that customers will be able to use internet more. They will have stable internet. And with that, we will retain them. Remember, if your network is not, this is a telco example that I'm sharing. If your network is not available, okay, if your network is not available, it means you will not make money. Customers cannot make phone calls and customers cannot use internet. So that's zero revenue. But if you do make that investment, the customers will make calls. The customers can use the internet. I'm going back to my small coffee shop example. If I did make an investment, I had to make an investment in the payment system. And because I made the investment, I reduced the time that customers spent. And I was able to, because customers staying in line for coffee, I noticed that customers were leaving the line and going away. So I was going to churn less customers. So it's a kind of, there is a formula. I'm happy to discuss this later. Like I said, we can talk about customer experience all day long. The ROI, you can have another session on ROI, but generally for me, it's a no-brainer. From a no-brainer perspective, invest in it. You'll be able to, if you invest in it, customers are happy, they will stay. And if they stay, they will spend. And if they spend, you will grow. But having said that, let me just quickly conclude. I know that we're out of time. The last slide that I have.
One more question. One more
All
question
right.
before we move
Oh,
forward. The question is
yes.
about startups. So
Yes.
basically, what are the biggest customer experience mistakes or things that you think a startup makes in, let's say, they made in early years, but now they want to avoid it? So what are the mistakes they should avoid?
Well, I probably will use my own experience as an example because I bought the cafe. It's a startup. I started that cafe myself, so I made the mistake was trying to uh, spend less, not focusing on the customer. I just was like, oh, I don't want to spend so much money, but I know that it hit me hard. It was rough. But try and focus on the experience of the customer. I'm not saying you should spend all the money on the customer, but make sure that if you do focus on the experience of the customer, you can compete. It can differentiate you. I was focused on, well, let me spend a little more, little buy only one POS, but I did not invest in customer experience. So startups, see if you can focus on the customer, understand the needs of the customer, focus on your strength. Um, uh, you know, yeah. So that's the only advice I can give for now. But hopefully, like I said, we can talk about this all day long. But I'm just going to quickly wrap up by saying, look, based on what we've discussed, we all agree that focusing on experience helps you to build loyalty and endure connections with your customers. Um, sorry. It does. Positive experience drives growth and profits, like I shared with you some examples already. When you It's important that you be customer centric, focus on your customers. If you one of the ways to focus on your customers is to embrace technology. Like I gave you that example of the coffee store, technology did help me a lot to grow the business because I had to digitize the way I had to optimize the experience, the payment experience. Then the other last thing I would like to share is that customer experience is key to lasting business success. If you want to remain sustainable in business, focus on the experience of the customer because you will retain them. All right. Thank you all so much. Hassan, I know time is up. Being respectful of time. I hope you did get value today, guys, ladies and gentlemen, my dear brothers and sisters. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Andrew. We have, if you can spare a few minutes, I think we have a hand raise. You want to take a live question?
Okay.
All right.
That's fair. Yes, Yusuf.
Yusuf, you can unmute yourself. Okay. Yes. You can speak now.
Okay, Yusuf.
Yusuf, we can hear you. You can speak. It's unmuted. Okay. I think it's okay. That's fine. So,
Yusuf is muted. Yeah. Okay.
all right. Thank you, Andrew, for your time. Let me thank you in person. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sparing this time and giving us importance. People at Taif are, I believe, will benefit from this session. We look forward to having you again. All right, we have a few comments. We have Lukman is saying a wonderful presentation. Customer experience has always been best area I love. I've really learned a lot. Just big thanks for Taif and great session. Thank you, Hajra. Thank you, Shakir. Thank you very much for your involvement. Thank you, Mr. Andrew, for giving us time that early. A lot of respect for you. Looking forward to have more sessions with you.
Thank you, Hassan. Thank you, Taif Digital Institute, for this great opportunity. And thank you, everyone, wherever you are. Have a great weekend and talk to you all soon.
Take care.
Take care.